Okay, here we go. So this is the part where we are pretending like we're in the classroom with a whiteboard, and I'm showing you how to do these calculations, how to do this quantitative analysis, and you are following along with my examples, and then you go and try it yourself. Now this is the Cengage practice problems, and I've got it set for unlimited check my works. So you can just practice with this as much as you want until you become comfortable with these, and then go ahead and move on to the homework that is going to actually count. Okay, so this assignment over here, if you will, is taking the place of classroom practice. Okay, so you're going to have to do it. Now, this first problem is basically just reinforcing the accounting equation, which we already went through last time, where our transactions always have to be recorded such that assets are equal to liabilities and equity. And so this is just a simple little fill in the blank to just kind of reinforce this. So let's just do this over here, the first one. Yeah. All right, so our assets we don't know. Our liabilities were $715,000. I don't know what just happened there. Sorry about that. Our liabilities were $715,000. And our equity was $1185,000, 1.18 million, and we need to know what our assets are. And so you can either do this with a calculator, or if you're smart, you'll do it in Excel. It's good to learn Excel. You're going to want to use it later in the semester, trust me, so you may as well start practicing with this stuff. And so then all you have to do is your assets are equal to the liabilities plus equity, and you put that in there, and then you use Cengage as basically a data entry sheet, right? Enter that in there, 1.9 million, check my work, it's correct. And so I've set this thing up with unlimited check my works as I mentioned, so you can go back and forth and just keep at it until you have figured out how to do it right. Okay, example 2. So this is the same thing. We have assets and liabilities, and we need to check equity, right? And then the second piece of it says, okay, if assets increased and stockholders' equity decreased by this amount, what would be the change in liabilities? Right, so let's go ahead and start setting that up. Right, so we had original. The way that you do these is you say original and then change. Right, so here we have assets of 84,141 and liabilities of 39,183. Right, and our equity then has got to be the difference. Right, so our equity has to be assets minus liabilities. Right, and so then our change here, our assets increase by 4.041. So it increased by 4.041. Giving us our new assets. You know what, we'll say new instead of change. And let's see what else. And our equities decreased by 433. So that's that minus 433. Then what is the change? What was the increase or decrease in liabilities? Right, so I'm going to let you figure that out. Okay, I don't want to do your homework for you. So what we want to know, right, first you have to calculate what's the new value for equity, and then you got to calculate the difference between the original and the new, because they want to know what was the increase or decrease. Okay, so that's how you do number 2. Actually, let's start numbering these. Okay, the third one. Okay, the third one is literally the same as number 2. Okay, so I'm not going to bother showing you that. Number 4, again, it's the same question, but it's laid out differently. Okay, so keep in mind here that we are looking at Apple in one column and Verizon in the other column. Okay, and then we have year 1 here, year 2 down here, right? And you need to work backwards via the changes. Okay, so this is a big old puzzle. Let's talk about how to set that up. I'll show you how to do it for Apple. All right, so we have, it's interesting. We have this formula, or these this puzzle, and all we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits of information, and we need to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4 blanks. And over here, for Verizon, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of information, and we've got to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blanks. All right, so this is, I love this kind of stuff. It's kind of like a Sudoku, you know? All right, so what I'm going to do is continue with my horizontal layout over here, even though this thing is laid out vertically, right? Because it doesn't matter how it's laid out, it's still the same. Right, so here we have Apple, so this is number 3. Apple. Okay, year 1. We'll say year 1. So our assets were 231, 839, and we don't know what our liabilities or our equity were. And you know what? Let me give those guys a border. We don't know our liabilities and we don't know our equity. And then we have a change, and then we have year 2. Okay. So the change in assets was 58,640. And the change in liabilities was 50,832. And the change in equity was 7,808. Okay, and then we are also told we don't know what our assets were in year 2. We know that our liabilities were 171,124. And we know that our equity, or we don't know that our equity, we've got to figure that one out. Okay, and actually, let me get rid of these. There, okay. So here's our puzzle laid out horizontally with our assets and our liabilities and our equity. Thusly. Okay, so now one of the things in these homework assignments is, it's always our instinct to try to like solve them out from top to bottom, but you can't do that, right? You got to just solve them out in whatever order you can solve them. So for instance, I can see, right, that in year 2, my total assets are going to be the year 1 plus the change. So I know that year 2 is going to be 290,479. So we can go ahead and fill that one in and check our work. You may as well check your work every step of the way because I've given you unlimited check my works, right? So we'll check that, and it's right. Okay, so that's good. So likewise, right, we have a change in liabilities that got us to 171, 124 by the second year, right? So we know then that this original liabilities is going to be that 171 minus the change, right? Because 120 plus 50 equals 170. So therefore we can solve the liabilities for the first year and check my work there, and that one is right. And you know what? I'm going to make these maybe colored so that you can see which ones need to be completed. There we go. Okay. Now, right, now we're almost there, right? We have assets plus liabilities equal equity for both years now. So now all we got to do is fill out our equity for the first year, which is going to be assets minus liabilities. And for the second year, it's going to be assets minus liabilities again. All right, so we can go ahead and transfer this information over here, 111,547 and 119,355. Check my work, make sure it's right, and they are. So that's how you do number 4, which is a little tricky, but it's only tricky because of the way that it's laid out. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording here and pick up again with number 5.